MxM Live with Barun Das. Barun Das is CEO of TV9 Network, and this is part of the leadership series that we do with media persons. Welcome to MxM Live, Barun.
Hi, Pradyuman.
For
Thank you very much.
For people who don't know much about Barun, well, he's an alumnus of IIT Madras. I am Calcutta School of Economics with over 25 years of experience in the media sector, both in India and abroad. His last corporate assignment was with Z News, which is currently Z Media Corporation Limited. In fact, readers of MxMIndia would perhaps remember that we had published what eventually turned out to be an incorrect news that he was going back to ZMCL, but he didn't, and he joined TV9. It's been one heady journey for you, Barun, since you took charge at TV9.
No, not really. Obviously, I mean, this group is a progressive group, and the ownership has changed hands, and there were strong brands. TV9, TV9 Kannada and Telugu had been #1 for over a decade. This very strong brand, and Maharashtra, it was sort of struggling a little bit. Gujarati, it was again going from #1 to #4. And then they launched this TV9 Bharatvarsh, which is a national Hindi channel. So the brands were very strong in the regional markets, but it was possibly not functioning as a corporate outfit. So that was my mandate as I came in. But that mandate also had one overriding principle, which the promoter has told me, Mr. Rameshwar Rao, that Barun, respect is my primary consideration. Rating and revenue and return can follow. So I love that philosophy, and that is also aligned with the way I run a news business. And then as I came in, bring in the right people, make the corporate structure, policies, etc. We've lifted the Marathi channel. It was #3, 4. It has become #1 now, dropped to 3. Gujarati became #1. Main challenge was Bharatvarsh. The Hindi market is the most competitive news market in the country. We were possibly the nth number of player to enter it. And it was obviously struggling at the bottom of the stacking. So it was a primary concern, and mandate was to sort of bring it up to speed as quickly as possible. So as soon as I joined, I planned, my entire focus was primarily directed to, besides the organizational issues, to Bharatvarsh. We planned a relaunch. We were planning a relaunch sometime in January. For certain reasons, got postponed to March. And then we are here between March and July.
Barun, I've seen several interviews of yours. I saw one earlier today. I think it was on Indian television, and there was something on Exchange for Media last week. You don't mind naming other publications which consider us as competition. So I've seen all the interviews. So let me get down to one of the primary reasons why we are interviewing now. Of course, it's always good to speak with you, and you made such a huge success of Z News when you were there. In fact, not just Z News, but the entire slew of channels that existed there. But tell me, you seem to have irked a lot of your former friends in the news business.
Yes or no. I mean, one is, this is a dog-eat-dog competitive market. Anybody would sort of take out the aggression to sort of cover the lost ground if some other player has overtaken them, which is normal. In fact, I would have also become overcautious and overactive and would have tried to understand. And in the process, maybe it could have sounded like that I'm raising my doubts. All those are fine, part of the game. But what was inexplicable to me was that there are references, defamating references to certain things about the organization, legacy, etc. So that came to me as a sore point. Otherwise, it's fine. I'm sure that we would meet once the life becomes normal. We would meet some of them over a drink or a coffee. And while we'll go back to our respective office organizations, will be fighting tooth and nail with each other, because it's your loss is my gain. We're eating into the same pie of advertising and same pie of viewership.
Why do newswalas fight so much with each other? They complain to the measurement body. Earlier it was TAM, now it is BARC. They don't mind going to MIB. So every time, and then there are various letters and communiques that we keep receiving. So why is it that this exists in the news business? We've had now post your rise on the Thursday roster. We've had some a couple of years back when Republic launched. So clearly I think it's a problem with this sector. Is that you're a seasoned player, you've been in the business for so long. What is your view?
Like, I have been in media for about 27 years now. I've been in news television for close to about 8-9 years, 10 years in fact. I have never raised a complaint against rating systems to anyone. Earlier it was TAM, now it is BARC. Because I go by one fundamental belief, that that's the only currency that we have. Good or bad, I may cry foul, but finally the advertisers need some currency to evaluate you. And that's the only currency which is available. And now it's even more transparent, because we are the stakeholders. The interested parties are the stakeholders, and therefore it's supposed to be serving everybody's need. So I, as an individual, I can say that I've never raised a complaint against, I could raise a doubt, something which I don't understand. I can always reach out to BARC and say that, listen, I don't understand that. Can you explain that? I would do my homework before that. If my homework defeats me, that I cannot figure out that why something is going in certain directions, I may write to them formally and ask for explanation. But crying foul, I don't think that's the way I would have reacted. And news industry, yes, you're right. It's suddenly it occurred to me that yes, this is an industry which is, I'm part of that industry that had been most vocal about from time to time, and generally I see there are a group of leaders. So whenever it happens, not in news industry, in many other places, that if you're a group of leaders, if you see a newcomer, obviously everybody would try and suppress the newcomer so that the group of leaders remain intact. So maybe that could be the reason. You mentioned about Republic. I don't know. I was not in the industry then. I don't know what happened.
In the media and entertainment sector, there are various people who are fighting with each other, who are in the same space. You have general entertainment channels, you have advertising agencies, you have PR agencies. You have a host of stakeholders, but they don't fight like the way the news channel walas do.
Pradyuman, now that you're asking this question once again, there's a thought which is coming to me. So I'll try and express that to you. Often we say media, television media. According to me, television media, when you talk about the general entertainment channels and the news genre, they are not similar businesses. There's some nuances are same, but what is drastically different between these two things, that news we got to report as it is. We may do programming, we may give it a twist, we may give a perspective, but we are dependent on things which are happening out in the world. We can't manufacture news. So this doesn't work in a traditional business model. Whereas entertainment business is more like a traditional business model. You figure out what the consumer wants, you go back and do your homework, you do your research, and come back with a product which will satisfy the need of the consumer, which is by and large the model of any other businesses. So I think the businesses are different. And here, I mean, possibly it's the way you look at business. You have not enough ammunition to run your businesses, so therefore you start mudslinging, you start casting aspersions to rating agencies or one particular channel. So that could be a possible reason. There's a fundamental difference in the business model. One is more like a traditional business, the other one is not so.
Coming to the issue that is concerning the sector right now, because there have been a few complaints that have been lodged against your TV9 Bharatvarsh's Rise and Rise. We received 2 communiques, one which was an unsigned one, and we tried to speak to that industry association, and they haven't surprisingly got back to us, which is really sad. There's another association which has sent us their letter, which also levels very serious charges uh, against a process that BARC may have, that TV9 may have followed. Now, I do know, I have read about the fact that you might be taking legal action against them, but first things, you were part of these two industry associations which have one of them has allegedly sent a letter, one of them has I have a copy of the letter which has been sent. So, and you have exited those two industry associations now. Any reason why?
No, no. First of all, we were never part of NBF. We were not part of NBF. We were part of NBA. When I joined, one of the first things that I did was take an NBA membership, because you would recall that I was on the founder board. I believed in that institution of NBA in those days. It was just forming, but I was there on the board for 5 years. So I thought, as an industry player, I need to be part of it and contribute my bit. But we haven't renewed it since after March. There are two reasons. One is that, this economic downturn, any money saved is money earned, while this is not a big money. And second, often I used to feel like that this membership is of no benefit to me, and I'm not part of it like the way I used to be. And there is no benefit that I could derive out of being a part of NBA. So we politely declined to renew our membership, citing the reason of economic downturn. And we were open, and we mentioned that we would have gone back to the industry body. But as late as June, I finally declined that, sorry, this is not happening. I don't know whether this, the entire thing is anyway related to that or not. Sorry?
Sorry. They do have a complaints authority which allows for legal for some amount of self-regulation. But before I do have a press release communique from NBF when it was formed, and it clearly mentioned that TV9 Bharatvarsh was one of the founding members of the NBF. I could share that with you offline, but
then it could have been before I came in. Maybe I missed the point. So NBF, we could have. I am not sure, but since the time I've joined, which is August 2019, I don't think we were part of NBF.
So anyway, that's we've passed that issue. I have also seen your reply, an 11-point reply to the 11 points raised in that alleged letter of the NBA.
No, it's no more alleged. Now the press release has come, so it's no more alleged. The letter, I think NBA has released a press release to which we are replying soon. We are also coming up with a press release, with a formal reply.
So my point is that there were some issues that were raised over there. One was the fact about your past, about the ownership, which I guess you have clarified that the ownership has changed. It's all new management. So whatever TV9 may have done in the past, cannot reflect on its doings right now. Is that right?
No, Pradyuman, an organization is what? It's not the name or the brand. The organization are the people. If the entire promoters are new, the entire management is new. So how do you think there's an organizational ethos? Whatever happened in the past, I'm not concerned about that. But what is it now is a completely changed new ownership and a new management headed by me. So is there a legacy about the new promoters? Is there a legacy about me? I have worked for 17 years in 3 companies which are part of NBA board now. Is there any legacy of questionable legacy as far as I'm concerned, or the entire management is concerned, or the owners are concerned? The organization belonged to somebody else, changed hands, changed guards, new owners, new management. What's the point in drawing the legacy there? What is the legacy that you would ascribe to if the owners are new and the management is new?
Yeah, well, if the owners are really new and it's an all new management, I guess. But do you sometimes think that you've kind of inherited a legacy which might have been a little suspect? Perhaps if it was not TV9, but it could have been named something else, you would have, you could have gained a little more, especially in certain markets?
No, it's yes and no. First of all, as I said, that TV9 Telugu and TV9 Kannada, if they were legacy issues, if they're not good editorial product, they wouldn't have ruled those markets for over a decade. And what's the distance with? And the number two is a distant number two. But there are issues which were there along with past managements. There are issues in various markets. So we have taken cognizance of that, and that been corrected. 90% of that has already been corrected, if not 95%. As you know, the entire top management, since the time I've joined, I've recruited at least 12, 15 people in various senior positions. So whatever legacy was there, that has been wiped out more than ever before. And this organization is now poised to, actually, we are the largest news network now in terms of viewership. And we have a distinct plan to become the largest news network in terms of imagery and in terms of bottom line and revenue as well. For me, as you mentioned, it's not new. While the entire world economy was undergoing the recession of 2008-9, Z Media that time was a listed company. I was the CEO there. We've done well there also. In my time, it has become the most profitable news organization amongst the listed companies. Here also, I think the future is more or less, the destiny is decided. Whether is not the question, when is the question. But we are at work. Our heads are down. Our heads are on the paper. We are into it. We are inward looking instead of trying to find fault with the world. And every day, it's a new day for us as far as the way we approach our business. For instance, there's a major expansion plan that I have in the digital side, which is the future anyway. And you would see that as a network, how we make the transition from a traditional TV format to a digital delivery format. So I think that is where we are headed towards.
So tell me about this issue about, the high ATS, right? Now, I guess the primary concern which everybody has is, how could TV9 get such high ATS, higher ATS than some of the established networks, and in such little time? Did they, as some of the videos are concerned, and I'm aware of the fact that Park has, not found the videos in order, or at least that's what I was told. But how do you really justify, as somebody who's in the media business, how do you really justify, how do you make somebody else appreciate the fact that it's not something that has been stage managed?
No, there are two aspects to your viewership, right? ATS and the reach, and a function of that comes to impression. We were ahead in ATS, ahead of most of the competitions, and often number 1 and 2 even before this relaunch. It's not a surprise. And there is a minor difference. It's in the vicinity. Sometimes in the urban area, we are number 2 in ATS, number 3 in ATS. Sometimes we become number 1. It's part of the business. It's a content game. I mean, ATS is dependent not on anything else. It is on your content. It's your content has stickiness. People will stick to it. And I invited Anil also, I am inviting you, that go and sample TV9 Bharatvarsh in the evening, especially 8 o'clock show, which is the number 1 show.
And if you can
live. So and that is not for, possibly not directed to an English-speaking audience. That has stickiness. Somebody has to sample the content and understand what's the ATS. Number 2 point about ATS. Is the ATS concentrated in one market, in any one market? No. If you see, the ATS is distributed across the markets, across all markets. So what does it mean? On 22nd of March, TV9 network has proposed NBA that, given that reporters and cameramen would be risking their lives, and we let us come out of the competition and suspend rating for the lockdown period on 22nd of March. On 23rd of March, NBA says that that's not acceptable to NBA. I was part of NBA then. 24th of March onwards, the country comes to a lockdown. And all that TV9 Bharatvarsh has done, gone to some 40, 50,000 meters and tampered with all the meters. Is that what it is? And there are instances of unprecedented surge in smaller markets and some pockets of the, if you analyze some of those players who are raising these doubts, you would see that they have unprecedented surge in certain pockets of their viewership in ATS. That is more doubtful than having an ATS which is dispersed across the country and which has steadily grown over the lockdown period. And it's simple. You have a new channel, new look. You had extensive promotion on local TV channels. You have improved your distribution. We've changed our position on free dish from one position to another position vacated by another player. Overnight, 10 million reach has increased. And then that is the time more sampling was happening. And if you have more, what ails a new channel? That sampling takes time. No matter how much you advertise, it takes time for people to come to your channel and then come back to your channel and establish yourself as one of the most viewed channels. Isn't it elementary that during the lockdown, the news viewership has surged? People got glued to television news, and you got the sampling of 9 months into in 9 weeks.
Oh, I agree. I think, and BARC numbers also very clearly indicate that the news genre has grown, except that, let me give you an example which might be incorrect to give you. When Republic, the English channel launched, it started off with a bang in terms of many exclusives, and the attempt was to garner a lot of attention. But one didn't really see, those major hutke breaking big exclusives and breaking stories in the last 4 weeks, for instance.
In the last
4 weeks, where the ATS has really gone up.
Pradyuman, ATS is not a function of breaking news. The entire country is today, you don't break news. The news is broken in social media in a jiffy before even if you have edited your things. You don't break news. You can write big breaking news things, but you don't break news. It's the perspective towards news, it's the programming, it's the packaging, which gives rise to ATS.
All right. Okay. I'm going to take that, address that bit, because obviously I don't really have all the data in front of me, but that's a perception.
No, but if you have perception is a selective perception. If you if you go through the data, and if you want any kind of explanation for me or detail on the data, because I live and sleep numbers, I would be able to explain to you or our research team. But again, I'm saying the underlying line is that it's an all-pervasive thing. So what you mean to say that we have gone and tampered the meters across the country? Is that what that perception will say? If it is all-pervasive all around the markets, so how does that happen? The channel that you're talking about, maybe even this NBA makes a mention about one market where there's an extraordinary surge. That could be a point of suspicion. There you could go, if that was the case with Bharatvarsh, we could have gone and done analysis there. I'm sure BARC could have changed the sample or whatever it is. But you can't say that unless and until I've tampered all the meters, my ATS has grown across the country. I mean, this is as ridiculous as it can be.
One of the other charges, so to say, and I'm sorry, I don't want this to become.
No, but those charges are not against us. The charges are against BARC. The letter of NBA is to BARC. There are a few objectionable mentions about our organization. We would only look at that. We'll come back with a response very soon. But I'm not defending any charge. I am giving you an explanation as a journalist. You are asking about certain insights in my performance. I'm responding to that. There's no charge against me. Nobody has charges. We have pressed charges that we have taken a legal action. We have filed a police complaint against those videos and the text messages which are going out. We would possibly, there would be charges going forward with anybody or relevant people or whatever. But so far, there's nobody charged us with anything. It's an exchange that had happened between NBA and BARC. It is an exchange that has happened between NBF and BARC.
So let me not call it a charge, but there's a sentiment that while TV9 may not be doing anything wrong, but is it true that you have outsourced your distribution operations, and perhaps that outsourced entity could be doing something given high targets that you may have set?
So ATS is a distribution function that you say. what is your question? So ATS, high ATS is because of distribution efficiency.
Is it true that you have,
No, that
that you
I'll
have
come to
outsourced
that.
a distribution?
I'll come to that. But you're saying that there's a suspicion about ATS. Now you're talking about
That's right.
distribution efficiency. So you mean to say that with distribution efficiency, you can gain ATS? Is that what you say?
No, with
No. So the
the fact of the matter is,
answer would obviously be no, Pradyuman, that you can't influence ATS through distribution.
asking you a question to, yeah, but I'm just telling you, the perception is
Yeah.
that
No, it's not a perception; it's a reality. We have our distribution head, which has come from one of the channel. He's an industry person, and our distribution in the northern India is outsourced to a distributor whose records, books, etc. Can be checked, and whatever it is. So it is outsourced, yeah. But that doesn't mean that has given rise to ATS.
yeah, all right. But I think it's important for me to also tell you what the perception is, and hence, get this.
So besides telling me what the perception is, you tell me what the perception is, because it's a conversation with you. I would also like to know what your perception is. You're conveying the perception like a true journalist. Have you heard about that? Have you heard about that saying, that what the journalists say, that once President Lyndon has said that if I walk on the river Potomac tomorrow morning, the press will cry saying that the president can't even swim. So I have been in this business for quite long. So while you're playing up the perception, but no, I need to know as a person. You're an industry veteran too. What's your perception?
Almost everybody whom I've spoken to have spoken fantastically about Barun Das, right? Because you have a proven success story, and there's no clear doubt about that. So the sense is that while TV9, Barun Das, the entire team is squeaky clean, because they have given the entire job to some distribution companies, and
No.
as
No,
you said,
it doesn't happen, Pradyuman. They are there from the very beginning. They have not come during the lockdown. The distribution was outsourced from the very beginning of the channel's launch, number one. Number two, it's not Barun Das. As I keep saying, the leader is as good as the team. The output team of TV9 Bharatvarsh is possibly the best in the country. And then the management team that we are getting together, and the brands, TV9 brands in the south. So it's a combination of everything. I am only orchestrating all the effort and trying to corporatize the entire functions of this organization. The brands were strong. And so don't ascribe the entire success to me.
You set the rules. No?
Sorry?
You set the rules. You ensure the standards are followed. The rules have been set by you.
No, I will tell you, in right there in the newsroom, when I joined, I had a town hall in this big, the studio that we had. So I had gone and told them, the TV9 Bharatvarsh team, that time they all came and stood with a stooping shoulder. So I said that, you know what, you're part of a network which is used to become number one. 4 of your channels are already number one. There's only one way to be in an industry, to be a player, to lead. So so somebody asked me that, so what do you want to do first? What is it? That I said, believe. Let's first believe that you can actually become one of the top players, and then have the conviction, and then get your act together and work towards it and make incremental progress every single day. That's the basic fundamental. That's how I tend to work. And I, as a leader, what I do is that I can add value to people. There are 3 things that you do as a leader, right? The CEO term is now, various media organizations have multiple CEOs. I mean, as a leader, there are 3 things that you do. You manage people, right? And you take decisions. And you have to have the competence and the knowledge about the industry. I happen to say that I must say that I don't do poorly in any of these 3 counts. And then I get a fantastic team, and it works like a well-oiled machinery.
So anyway, just to kind of go on and not go ahead, but before we do that, very clear what you're saying, and I don't. Again, this is not a quote, so I'm not asking you Gita ki kasam pe, Gita pe haath rakh ke kasam khao. but just to clarify things, that what you're saying is that the ATS has increased thanks to your superior content. As far as distribution is concerned, there's been no hanky-panky. There's no, all the charges.
No, one sec, Pradyuman, you just go and see when free dish, we've changed. It's all transparent, right? I will give you the exact date that when we've changed in free dish. There were some things we were lucky. We were very lucky for this kind of growth because of COVID. I know, you also know that sampling, if sampling hasn't increased, we would have definitely been in the top 7, but would have taken us a little longer. The COVID has accelerated the entire growth of ours. And then distribution, there are efficiencies been built in. This is the distribution. We were low down in Den, so we lifted ourselves up in the top amongst the top 4 channels. So these are the distribution efficiencies. These are all transparent. You don't have to know anything to do that. You just have to have the right information, and you would know that it's as elementary as 2 + 2 is 4.
So, would you like to use the MxM platform to send a message out to your biradari of the Hindi news channel, TV channel guys?
No message to I've given this. My entire interview is a message to everybody, all of your viewers. There's no specific message to be given. As I said, that those defamatory references in the complaints is in a little bit of a poor taste. That's what I feel, but that's my feeling. I'm prerogative to my feeling. The others are to theirs, and it's a competitive market. And only thing that I say that this is a dynamic industry. People have slipped to number 2, number 4, number 5. This is gone. The number 1 more or less has remained unchallenged for a very long time. But we now that if we have done well so far, if we continue with a good run, at some point in time we would head for the number 1 position in the Hindi news industry as well.
And do you have any time frame to be to outplace Aaj Tak, which is obviously the number 1?
No,
are you saying
I don't know the time frame as yet, but I think you should be able to see some action from our side by the end of this year.
You have a kind of big names in the back room. Your editor, your group editor, etc. You have fairly large number of the biggies there, but front facing, you don't really have very many, of the top faces as part of your news channel roster.
When obviously we tried to get some big faces in, but when I got in, there are people from the industry who have taken offer and then didn't join. But these people who we have are not small faces. If you see, Nishan has been an anchor, an established anchor for a very long time. Dinesh Gautam is possibly a very, very underrated anchor. If you see his show at 6 o'clock, Sumera is also a veteran name. They are not celebrated. They have not. I don't know. They may not be considered in the top bracket, but they are very good. And proof of the pudding is in its eating. So when we were devoid of big faces, we tried to get someone. But I thought that they are bigger faces. They are big faces now in themselves. I mean. I'm sure that if any independent research agency does a research and figures out the popularity of the anchors, I'm sure these anchors which we have in our prime time will figure out amongst the top ones.
And what else coming up from the TV9 network? I'm told you are working on your English channel.
No, not channel. You've seen how the viewership and the revenue has shrunk for English television, national television. We had an English channel in Bangalore, city-based channel, News 9, very successful. But I think the business model of a city-based channel is India. That scope or the possibility is not there in India. So it wasn't making business sense. So we sort of toyed with the idea that what to do with it. There was one thought was that come and let's launch a national English channel. Then we thought that no, that's not a very progressive decision to come up and launch an English news channel now, an industry which is shrinking. So we are coming up with a reincarnation of News 9 with a national offering, but not as a channel, traditional television channel, but as a web channel. So and our next bigger things which are happening in the TV9 network are our digital expansion. Our digital presence was very nominal so far. and now we're setting that up afresh, and we're building it from the scratch, and that would be our focus. And we want to make a transition, as ENY says, by 2024, traditional TV revenue, the digital revenue in India will overtake traditional TV revenue. For news genre, I think that will happen another 4 or 5 years down the line. So that's, as an organization, we're looking at, that our digital revenue should supersede the traditional television revenue by 27, 28. And in terms of more channel launches, we had plans of launching in Bengali and Tamil. These are the large two markets left in our bouquet. That was the plan before lockdown. Now, post-lockdown, we've gone back to the drawing board once again. We'll see if whenever the time is right, possibly we'll see these two launches from our bouquet.
Well, Bengal is the market that you are very familiar with. Having you made a success of the channel.
Yeah, I made a success of ABP Anand. I made a success of 24 Ghanta. 24 Ghanta was nowhere when I joined. Then it remained number one for majority of the times for the last 3 years I was there. And I come from that market. But that irrespective, that market is it's a large retail market, and in that market there's one leader, and the leader is 2.5 times of the number two. So there is a possibility of a good number 2, 3, if not the leader in that market. So that was the thought that we had. And there's an election coming up in Bengal and Tamil Nadu. So if you launch a channel, that's a bread and butter content for you. So that was the thought that we were planning to launch Bengali. Maybe we'll go back to the launch, seeing how the industry and economy and revenue spans out in the next few months.
Great, Barun. Thank you for your time, and wish you all the very best. And I hope the news channel space has more camaraderie and less of this infighting, and the poor chaps at BARC don't get all the missives from the associations and the broadcasters. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pradyuman. Thanks a lot for having me with you, and I enjoy talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you.